Welcome back, everyone, to the Turning Point Meta Podcast. I am your host, Nate. Joined with me today, I, of course, have my co-host, Chris.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
And obviously, as you can see, we have a guest today. Want to introduce yourself?
Welcome.
How's it going, guys? My name's Mattie, or Dreads, whatever you guys want to call me. I'm hopefully come back, but
Of course.
yeah, Nate and Chris here invited me to come talk about the funnest part about Magic, Midrange.
Yes, we're going to be talking about mid-range today. We've obviously talked about other archetypes. We had Adam on with Turbo, Bruce on with Control. We had Rich on with Stacks. Now it's kind of talk about the big boy mid-range. But before we get to that, we kind of want to introduce Mattie a little bit more rather than just bring him on and be like, okay, Mattie, talk it out. So
Tell us the archetype.
Exactly.
Talk to us a little bit about your history, your accomplishments, and your motivations for playing CEDH.
History and accomplishments. My biggest is technically Bruce has got me beat, but I started in 10th edition.
Okay.
There was a card shop that was by the movie theater over in Layton, and I went there. I played Pokemon. I'm gonna say that I was a Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh player first. I'm not gonna lie that, but
Okay.
And I went there
We'll forgive you.
and I saw this. Like, what is this card game? Again, I'm under the age to play Magic. I'm gonna say that, and they're like, "Oh, just play with us." And I'm like, "Okay." So I started playing, and that's where I fell into. It was an amazing game, and then I hit the. That's a nerd game. That's nerdy, and so I quit playing.
Okay. Interesting.
And
A little peer
then-
pressure?
A little peer pressure, absolutely. I got hit out of my turbo phase. If I would have stayed in, I probably would have got all these cheaper, like getting all these nice cards that we need now that are so expensive. They're house payments.
$50, and now they're $200, $800. Yeah, pretty
Yep.
expensive.
That discussion will be actually in next week's episode. So
But I quit playing, and then I jumped back in high school, and I kept the cards this time. That was positive.
Okay.
But nothing good. No. The best was like a Belfar dragon, Belfar dragon.
Dragons are awesome, man. I love
Yeah,
dragons.
but I don't play. I hate dragons. I play CEDH, dog. I'm not playing Kev.
Magda gets dragons.
Get like 2 dragons, dog.
Any dragons at all?
But and then pandemic hit, and well, not even a pandemic.
Which pandemic? Swine flu?
It was actually the Spanish flu back in 1902.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, I'm dating myself here again. I'm a time traveler. But no,
Oh, man.
I played a little bit of Arena, and I was like, oh, I'm never gonna buy cards in Arena. I'm not gonna waste money on digital currency. Then the pandemic hit, and I spent money on Arena, and I love Arena. And then I realized I like Arena because I like to play the worst cards, the worst cards, but also the best cards. I want to win right now. I want to destroy your lands. I want to Colossus Oracle Demonic. Salt City 2, I was top 16, and I won an Intuition on Atraxa.
There you go.
I
Nice.
was ready to like toss that deck out the window because I was in a weird space with it because like I love the turbo aspect. These two have seen me rock Atraxa out super fast, but we were in this weird mid-range, and it's like, what is going on? And then I top 16, got what I wanted, and Atraxa went away, and now we're here, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But my biggest thing is winning that 16. I've qualified for another 16 that got broken to a top 10, and then I've qualified for 2 other top 16s, but I was broken out by tiebreakers. Which,
Okay.
hey, it happens, and
Yep.
you learn. So
Gotta keep at it sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then what kind of keeps you going? Like, why do you want to continue to play CEDH? And is it tournaments? Like, what is
So
it?
tournaments are a big thing. I love that. I love the aspect of going to a tournament, and these two can attest to that. I'd be like, a tournament I'll hear from my buddies down at Salt City. Toss out to them. Shout out, not toss out. Shout out to Salt City. Toss them out. No, actually, no. We want
Who
Salt
needs those
City.
guys?
But they're tournaments I just love going out to, and I run into my buddies that I've run through other events, and it's just a good time. Yeah, you get some players, you're like, hey, maybe you should practice a couple more times before you come, and that's where I love our new place we're playing is we're cultivating these players that are going to start coming to these tournaments and understand the etiquette to how tournaments actually work, and understand Magda stacks doesn't mean kill him on sight. It means he's controlling turbo player over here, and you might actually get a turn 2. But
Right.
we'll get to that later. But the biggest thing is I want to cultivate the scene and make it better.
Yeah.
Okay.
And fan favorite, I want to play with Post Malone. I will 100% say that. My goal living here in Utah is I want to play with Post Malone. But Well, hopefully we'll get there. Hopefully these guys.
I sure hope
This
so.
video might do it. We're
to
that
talk
big of a podcast.
I'd love to play with Posty.
Hey, we'll tweet it. We got it.
He seems like a really cool dude, honestly.
I've heard great things about him.
Yeah.
I've heard he's fantastic.
So Bruce before told me about Chris here. He was the guy that got one ring out, turn 2 every game. Every game. I heard about this guy. I was like, I'm gonna play this guy. I'm gonna show him he ain't getting no one ring turn 2 against my Amazon deck. And Nate asked me what my favorite deck was, pet deck, and it's this Abzan, Timna, Kodama, Timna the Weaver, Kodama the Eastry,
I remember
Stacks deck, Initiative, Loop the Karmic Guide, all that stuff. But I beat him with the Initiative, and he's like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "The best thing in the world, White Puma Venturer." And I think that's what started our friendship, because it showed that we could be salty with each other, but then also shake each other's hand and say thanks for the fun game.
Absolutely. I think some of the best friends that I've made, normally you have like a, butt heads against each other to see, okay, this guy's cool and we'll take a punch, if you will, right? So this person, okay, he's not actually upset, but, we know where our boundaries are at, and he's actually a cool guy. And first time I met you, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, okay, this guy's pretty cool. So, yeah, absolutely. I really enjoyed that first game of getting stomped.
There wasn't stop. No, it was literally just me and you. He's at 1 HP. I had Nas, went to 1. I'm like, I looked at the board state. I had the initiative, or not the initiative. I was in, I think, Lost Mines of Faladine, and the last trigger, or one of the triggers, opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. And I was like, I can win right here if I get to my turn. If I get an upkeep, he doesn't attack, I win. And he didn't attack. I was like, cool, upkeep, next room, I win. And he's like, what? And and that was like the turning point of our friendship.
Yeah.
And then there's this guy named Nate, and I kind of still terrified of him. Like,
He's really mean, honestly.
I hold it all back. This is all a front.
he plays Croc Sakashima, dude. You know what they say about that?
He plays every deck.
I know.
Dude, I played.
He is a Sakashima.
You name it, I've played it.
He
Holy
is a
crap,
Sakashima.
man.
He just like-
I don't even know what I was on when I met you. I know you were playing Atraxa when I first played against you, and I played against you a couple times. I don't remember what I was on.
You were a Crick. You were one of the Crick players.
Oh, I was on Crick the first. Okay.
Yeah, and it was I guess, shout out to Gamers Asylum when we first met. They were no proxy. So when I played Atraxa, it was still Blink Atraxa. So
Right.
it wasn't
Yep.
as tuned as it got. And those days. I miss the days. Like we could sit down, the 3 of us plus one of the other people you've talked to, and play a game of casual, and we could still play our Trash Magic cards and having a great time. But you used to play with some of these people, and it's just like, bleh, bleh, bleh. You're like, what are you doing? Like, I'm sorry, my Smothering Tide is out turn 4, and he's drawing 8 cards. What do you want to do here?
Yeah. Why are we fighting this? Yeah. No.
But-
100%.
But the biggest thing is I want to keep hanging out with friends. That is probably the biggest thing. I want to build lasting relationships. So even if it's a year down the road, Chris can hit me up, hey, we're doing this, you want to come play? And I can dust off the old deck and bring it out to play it. I hope it's not like that. I hope we keep playing weekly.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah. Oh.
I think it's huge with our community. We have one member that's leaving here soon enough. Shout out to you, Cody.
Yeah, shout out to Cody.
We really miss you, honestly, but you'll be back. We might make some trips down to where you're at in general.
Play some
But,
spell table games for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But, it's the big thing about Magic the Gathering and why I enjoy CEDH. It's really inexpensive to get into. You can make some really great friends, and you can learn a lot of interesting real-world applications outside of Magic.
Yeah.
So-
I 100% agree with that. I think it's fantastic.
And I hope I don't overstep here, but as we've kind of been talking about a lot of things right here, I hope this kind of expresses what mid-range is. It's a little bit of everything. We talked about an introduction. We've talked about different things about the game. When do we actually get into what mid-range is? Sound good to you guys?
Cool.
Yeah. No, I'm totally cool with that.
If you had to have 2 sentences to explain what mid-range is, how do you define what mid-range is?
I would say a mid-range is 2 things. Being able to pay for the fish,
Sure.
Okay.
not Ristic Study, but the fish.
Sure.
You're paying that for.
Okay.
And you can also win through the stacks deck. That's the thing.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay.
Mid-range can be 2 cents, because it could be literally turn 2, and I can still pay for your fish. We've all been in those games. We've seen it. We've seen someone tap a mana vault and a mana crypt to pay for a fish to pay a soul ring, because they know this game. I'm not going to give you that feed because you have to make the decision next turn if you're gonna let that die or not. You let that die and you didn't hit your land drop, cool. Well, you're out for the next round.
Sure.
I can pay for Mana Vault in 2 turns.
Okay.
And that's the way I look at that. And then stacks. Rich made this great talk about how it's a puzzle, and I love that. It's really what stacks is. It's a puzzle. Well, mid-range is, I hate to say this, is, hey, look, there's a little crack in the wall. I'm just gonna go through it.
Okay.
I'm gonna find that hole. I'm gonna find that one. You tapped out. I can only play 1 spell. Oh, cool. I only had to cast 1, and now I'm looping through.
Sure.
Cool.
And that's what I love about mid-range, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to describe mid-range, because kind of in your analogy of like kind of going through the crack of where you're finding it, mid-range just has this ability to, one day it needs to turbo, so it decides to put in its Calling the Weak, or its Calling Ritual, or some other piece that gives them mana advantage very quickly. And then all of a sudden the meta changes, and all of a sudden that Calling Ritual is now a Dauntless Dismantler, or it's a Blind Obedience because they need to slow the game down, or a Deafening Silence, right? It just has these pieces that it can constantly swap in and out to just sort of adjust and slip, like you said, slip through that crack in what's going on in the meta.
And to kind of side on what you're saying, slipping pieces out, and it's not even talking about making swaps of your whole deck. It's literally you could have Dauntless in hand, or you've got Phantasmal Image, and next to your player you got Magda that has a Dockside out. Cool, you're gonna net 8 treasures, or after the Magda that shut off because of what's the one that shuts off her activations?
Norod?
Not Norod.
A Curse Totem.
Curse Totem. So she's Curse Totem, so she's not activating. But the player after that, Roxai over here, is about to go off. I'm gonna drop this Collector Roof. It shuts him off again, but also shuts off that Roxai that has 16 mana in just rocks.
Yeah.
But it's this weird stance, and it's a different stance. Like Bruce said, you got to know the game of control, but it's also the game of stacks, because I have to know what pieces he's just put out for somebody, and we get into this all the time, and people hate it. As I understand his stacks pieces better than half the people, and I don't know what half of them do, but I understand. Yeah, it's stopping me right now, but it just locked these 2 players.
Yeah.
And I might sometimes be that second player he just locked, and I'm like, hey, stack piece, right? And I might be angry, but I also understand, like, okay, he also just kind of locked himself as well.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing about it, is it's how do I say this? You locked yourself, so I'm gonna unlock you by breaking your lock.
Sure.
Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah,
that's that mid range, but it's also mid range hell. We've talked about it.
Absolutely.
It is that game of, cool, I'm stacks out, land pass, or welcome to CEDH where we don't play enough lands. Draw pass.
Or I can't go off because there's enough people with counters in general.
Right, people have
And-
counter spells because people have been drawing, and there's been too many stacks pieces, and then everyone has a full grip, so they're like, cool. Literally, someone goes for it, and you don't want to be the first one. You want to be the second one, because then all their interaction's gone.
And even now, sometimes where we're at this, like, switching to this turbo meta, but we still have these stacks pieces of Rhystic, Mystic, Esper. And Esper and Mystic is a little bit different, but with Rhystic, that is such a daunting piece, and I'm glad it's there, don't get me wrong. Any blue deck I run, I mostly run it, but
of course,
in a Naya deck that I'm in favoring, which we'll talk about later, this is weird, as crappy as it say, sometimes I can ignore that.
Sure.
But other players can't. And so I can use it like, oh man, Rhystic is so bad. And they can blow their interaction on it, because once they blow it on that, then I can drop my enchantments, I can drop my scary artifacts. And they're like, oh, wait, why did I blow that up? I'm like, oh no. Welcome to my turn.
right.
And it's that mid range. It really is like, okay, so we look at the board state. He just played a land pass, or he didn't play a land. He didn't do anything. Okay, he played a land and a creature pass. I do the exact same, and that stays for the next 3 turns because someone played a Draenith turn 1. Okay, cool. I'm fine with that.
Hopefully someone blows it up so then I can go off.
Yeah. And that's the point. Does he pop off, and if he can get away with it, cool. Well, these 2 are gonna pounce on him, and I can be like, walk over here mid range, and I'm like, hey, Mike again. Hey,
Yeah, it's okay.
Just saying, hey, I'm over here, and that's the fun part. And I think that's why I also love playing with you too, because you don't get caught by it as easy. Enough people here don't understand can't differentiate the 3 differences. There is a difference between control, stacks, and mid range.
Sure.
It's all blended. It really is.
They're very similar.
They are. And I think a lot of that comes down to board presence and understanding what's on the board, because sometimes people will play a spell and be like, cool, oh, there's a Vexing Bauble. Sorry, that's countered. You should have really paid attention. Look around, right, in general, and then also understanding the tempo of the game. Some people don't understand this isn't going anywhere. No one's going for a win anytime soon. You can just relax, play your engines to draw spells, and just sit back. Just sit back and let someone do the thing.
Well, you can attest to this, and you're still switching a lot of decks, so you can't. I don't know where you're at here, but good. As a Magda player, he constantly, oh, he's gonna win, and it's like, and now we have a buddy that's playing Nadu that's the same way. Oh, you got Nadu, he's gonna win. Okay, Nadu, it can do it. It can do. It can just win. Yeah. But the Magda players over here, like, well, yeah, I can win too, but dude, there's 2 things that's blocking the board. What am I doing? And it's like. And people that don't understand, I wanted to hit that point. You said understanding the board state, and players. I hate to say it, newer players, and I don't mean this mean to any veteran players here around us, but we can bully newer players because not that we're lying. I want to say that.
Right. And they can bully us if they decide to open up their mouth. The biggest thing with Magda in general is, I have a removal piece, you're scary, I'm going to kill Magda unless X, Y, and Z. And that comes down to politicking in general and understanding where your strengths are at. I don't want to lose Magda. I don't want to spend 4 mana, 6 mana, 8 mana, 12 mana, whatever. I don't want to do that.
Or how many games have we been in where you just said that, like you gave away that information and you just realized, crap, if I go for a Magda in turn 2, he can just stop it. I think we were playing and someone looked at my hand and they saw that I had 2 of these blink spells, and he's like, well, I just wasted like 8 mana to flicker this target because you can just remove the flicker. And I'm like, hey, yeah, it's your fault, dog.
Sure did.
Yeah.
So, but you didn't realize that, or not you in that game, but it's that like understanding. But also, I could be like, dude, I don't have anything. I can share you my hand, and normally we're funny about this. He hates sharing his hand. You think that's the weirdest thing. I over here like hand. Want to see my hand?
I think it's an interesting thing. I think some people overshare.
Absolutely.
Needlessly. I think it was a game we played the other day. Everyone showed their hand, and I'm like, I'm not going to show my hand. There's no reason. I have a counterspell. This other person knows I have a counterspell. I don't need to show this. Well, you need to show it to me, otherwise I'm going to go for an... Okay, cool. I'll show you one card.
That's typically what I do. I will show a card if I know I can stop something.
Oh, cool. Now we're going to go to a draw. Okay, I don't know why we had to go this far to get this point, opposed to I'm bluffing? This other person can stop you red-handed. I'm just an insurance.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, whatever.
And then I think that's the whole thing, too, where we're at, where we've gone from... And luckily, I am so glad we're getting here. We're kind of shifting again. Back as, like Rich said, it pivots back and forth to what it is. To a little bit more turbo-y and faster space. And don't get me wrong, I like our slower games and I want to see more of my deck, but I run tutor so I can see my deck anytime I want to go through.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the funniest thing, because playing casual.
Yes.
I do play casual. I do have casual decks. Like I have a buddy that challenged me to a $50 deck, so I don't have any of my fancy stuff in
Magda.
it. No, it's like
Magda $50 is disgusting.
It's like a Kathy Jeskai deck. It makes tokens and it's like artifacts. It's fun.
Cool, sounds fun.
It's gross, but cool. And that's what I mean. It's like we know what we're doing. And we're playing this disgusting format. I'm gonna say it. CEDH is, if you walk into a card shop for the first time, you know Magic, and you watch us play one of the card shop people just recently said, I play Magic for the last 20 years, but I can't watch you guys play because I don't understand it, how you guys are doing
There's a learning curve. And that's kind of the fun about it in general for me. It's like, this is something that I can't just walk in from standard or modern. I'm a 60 card player. Like, coming into it, understanding priority and the stack. Well, just
the stack's not as complicated, but it's still a very complicated, complex piece.
It's 4 people stack. It's very different than the regular 60 card format. It's intimidating. And you need to do your research. You need to learn about the colors. You need to learn about the possibilities of what person can play. The more you know about your opponent, the better off you kind of are. Yeah. And there's a lot of viable decks. Mattie, how long have you been playing CEDH for?
Casual EDH? About
my
bad. I've been a little cooking lately. We'll get to that.
You've been cooking?
I'm cooking. We're gonna get to that. I gave you a prize. Don't keep going.
Okay.
But I've been playing CEDH for about 2 years, and the funny part is I actually fell into it. So I got into, as I said, pandemic hit, arena, playing so much, and then I went down to Phoenix to see my D&D buddies, and then we played some EDH as the D&D set had just dropped. We bought all the commander decks.
Nerd.
Yeah, 100%. I've got Kingdom Hearts tattoo. You can't see it's on my shoulder, but a bunch of other nerdy stuff. But I just fell in love. I instantly got back and I just started spending money, buying boxes, buying things, and I went from playing the casual to high power really fast. And then, well, why can't I run Demonic Faucets? Why can't I run Underworld Breach and Lotus Petal? I didn't run Lions of Diamond because I wasn't about proxy. If I had the card, I might proxy it so I could switch it out.
Sure.
But I wouldn't proxy like duels or Lions Eye Diamonds or Mox Diamond because
It's
I didn't
a
have
little
those.
too far.
I don't have those. I can't do that.
Right.
But
Yep.
I got to these higher power decks, and then the people I play with were like, I didn't want to play with you. You're not fun to play with. Or you just win. Or I'd win. They'd be like, okay, well, we're going to keep playing. And I'd be like, okay, so I'm just sitting down and we can't just reshuffle and play again. And then a lot of lonely nights. I'll say that. A lot of spent time with a medical card stuff. But a lot of CEDH videos. And I didn't realize it was CEDH at the time. It was Falling for Play with Power, Play to Win, all
Great
those
guys.
guys, and just going through their backlogs, and then finding these new guys like Into the North. Where's another one? I'll have to go through. We'll go guys.
Oh yeah,
there's a bunch of these guys.
Arian Feeders.
Arian Feeder, Combat Step. There's a bunch of these guys. Double sleeved. I really ran into him up in Denver. He's one of the nicest guys. His name's Guy, and MTG Basics.
Cool.
The pen. You don't like CDH. That's from them.
Okay.
So they're super cool guys, and it's just I joked when I a couple. I recognize those hands. Because I've watched so many of their videos.
That's hilarious.
Watched hours of their videos. And,
I know those hands anywhere.
And Chris can attest for this. And then Nate, you can kind of, but people will play a card like that's part of a combo line, and you'll be like, how does he know this? That's like a weird combo line that I'm on the Discord and we just really talked about it. And I'll be like, but it does this and this and this. And they're like, wait, how do you know our lines? And I'm like, oh, because this playing power.
Right, you're like, you watch it enough, you learn it enough that you just know.
And that's what I think I love stacks. I will 100% say that. But getting into CDH, we'll get back to that. Sorry, I get sidetracked.
You're fine.
here.
You're fine.
Yeah, you're good.
I started playing high power and I started loving it, and I got my mana crypt, I got all this stuff, and then people got upset playing with me, and then I got okay, and then I powered down, and then I was like, this isn't fun.
No, it's not.
And then I started going to Gamers Time when I ran into you guys, and that was the full point. That I guess I wouldn't say I started playing. I started playing 2 years prior. It was a little bit before Bruce. I started meeting him playing more often. But I powered all my decks down because no one wanted to play those unless I went to an event or I was out at a new game shop because I was on a work trip and I could play. You guys playing high power, I could be the dick and not feel bad about it. That's what I think the difference is you're playing cards that make people feel bad, but you don't feel bad about it. Yeah, we're gonna give you crap because you're playing Nadu. Not that you're playing Nadu, but
no, I understand what you're saying.
You're playing,
never.
or you're playing Sisay, or you're playing Blue Farm. Blue Farm.
Love Blue Farm.
Which I think I might build it. I'm sorry, I'm almost there, and I think it's like turning the Darth Maul mask, or Darth Vader mask.
It is definitely the best mid-range deck in the format. So,
but
Yeah, it's all good.
just actually getting into it and accepting proxies. That was I think was the turning point, was proxy acceptance.
Yeah.
And then I hit the tournament grind. They got Salt City started representing here in Utah more and more tournaments, and I was like,
last summer, yeah.
let's do it, and just started hitting them. Don't get me wrong, online tournaments aren't bad. I'm not like saying those aren't my thing, but there's a different atmosphere being in person, and I hate to say it, you can politic different in person, and you can puppy dog someone. But
for sure.
but no, that's about 2 years is about the I would say like not like professionally, but hardcore now. Probably the last year and a half, like right before Bruce, because I was playing with a couple other people besides Bruce, and then Bruce and me actually got into a play group that we were playing CDH like weekly, and then I got with you guys, and we found Queen's Row, which shout out to her. Jody here has been amazing, and she hosts us, and it's awesome. So if you're ever in Roy, Friday nights or Sundays, come see us. We'll be there. Play. Yeah, we'll be there to play. If not us three, or someone there will be there.
There's always people there on those days. 100%.
A lot of people you've seen here on this podcast.
Cool. So. Awesome. All right. Well, getting back into kind of talking about mid-range, what is your main deck that you're playing, and is it mid-range?
That's the hardest one right now because we're in this weird pivot. Okay. I would say deck, though, if you asked me 2 months ago, it would be a Traxa. It would 100% be.
Sure.
If that with the dreads, it was the perfect deck for me. It was.
Okay.
People like there was another guy down at the tournaments that had like a Traxa mat and everything, and then he was like a Traxa player, and I was like, that's cool, but everyone knows I like Traxa.
It's a great card.
Sorry, I play Traxa. Which we have a buddy that plays it that used to play it too, and before I got into your group really, and but right now I'm in this weird pivot place. Najeela. I love Najeela. Like Chris was talking earlier, it's a turbo deck. It is 100%. I'm trying to get Najeela out turn 1 no matter what. But
Nate love Najeela. Every time we sleeve it up, we just de-sleeve it every time.
I guess that's the three of us. I guess that's 3 of the Najeela players. I'm the one with it sleeved right now, and I'm on this weird.
And
I don't want to spoil it here. I'm on a breakfast line.
Yeah, me and Chris's first tournament that we ever went to, both of us top 16, both of us on Najeela.
Yep.
So it's,
were you that guy they talked about?
I think I was like 14th, man.
That first tournament, there was some, and I don't think I love playing with these personalities and these big players, but it's like you have to realize what you say affects so much differently. And I hate to say it, we're at that point, the 3 of us, we can casually say something's a bad piece, and that new player that's first time playing with us has heard about us, and they're like, oh, is that really bad? Okay, I'll police my interaction. And they just blew 3/4 of the interaction, and Nate over here is going to win now because I'm playing Naya, which that will turning point to here. My new top deck is actually Rocco, Cavalry Caterer.
Yeah.
Ooh, tell us a little bit about this deck and what you're cooking.
Oh yeah, we'll pull these out.
Okay.
What are you cooking up there,
We're
Mattie?
cooking up what we call is Mattie's mid-range madness.
Okay.
Mattie's mid-range
Mattie's
triple M, so to speak.
Tell us about what you're cooking up.
So these two can attest 100%. This deck is the weirdest thing because it can be a turbo deck. I can compete with Adam here. I can go with his rock side. Oh, you want to go fast? Let's do it. But I can also go, all right, we're in a stacked out game. I play Abzine Mir. He's this new Assassin's Creed card, and everyone's like, "What is this? What
Assassin's Creed?
When
did that come out?
What is that?
It'll be up on the screen because I have no idea what it does.
Well, so it's the coolest thing ever. 2 in a red, or no, red and a white, not 2 in a red. Sorry.
You're good.
Comes in legendary creature, human assassin. Whenever he enters or a historic permanent non-token enters, it deals 1 damage to every opponent, and you gain 1 life.
Okay.
And you're like, oh, well, that doesn't do any like dockside loops or anything. No, but you know what that loops off of? Squee and Fuching. That is literally.
Okay.
I don't have a mana outlet. I literally win because I go, oh, Squee, he's a historic permanent, and I just win.
Very nice.
And
okay.
I've got Nate with this a couple of times because he's like, oh, you can't win through dockside loops. I'm like, that's fine. And he's like, how are you gonna win? And he's doing it just to kind of give me a hard time to see if I mess it up. And we 100% do that because it's kind of how you have to do this because sometimes people have a win and you're like, oh, what are you doing? And if you can mess them up, you might get a window again.
Yeah. Sometimes
With
that
one
mind
gun.
game.
That is that mid-range meta though, is that mind game a little bit because how many times have I said, oh, I'm going for X is 5 and I pull out a 3 drop? Which Rocco, let's go back to talk about that. Rocco, it's Naya, red, green, white, and X. Cool thing, enters the battlefield. Whatever X was, you can search for that mana value X or less creature at your library.
Okay. Gotcha.
So it's tutor dot deck. It's Sisay on a cast.
Nice.
And I have to admit, that is the hardest part about it. It is on cast. Sisay is an activated ability. 100% beats it right there. I'm not gonna lie. You can't stop. There's like 2 spells that stop activated abilities.
It's on cast or ETB?
ETB, sorry.
Okay, yeah, you're good.
But you have to cast it to get the mana.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you flicker it, it's a 0.
Nice.
You
Gotcha.
You get your Dryad. Oh, I got my Dryad Arbor, guys.
Wonderful.
Which, no, you guys have seen it. I have used the Dryad
sometimes
Arbor.
you do what you gotta do.
All those ornithopters you're playing in your deck, right?
Ornithopter,
Phyrexian Walker.
Phyrexian Walker. I don't even know.
The other one that's like an
You
ornithopter.
guys are Winota players, not me.
I don't know.
But
I don't
Yeah,
remember.
exactly.
Memnite.
Not that great.
But it is also, they've also seen it. It can turbo out, but it's also control because I can also be like, oh, you have your winning commander that has 3 toughness, and you have your 1 toughness dork that's pretty strong, like a Bloom Tender. Fury? I can tutor that out. Which
Got me the other day.
Which he even tutored. I showed him. I was like, these are 2 cards I can get, which was my.
The right call was Fury. It was between that.
I gave it to him to give it the choice. I was choosing Fury no matter what. Like,
Yeah,
don't tell him this, Nate.
It killed Magda.
I was choosing
It killed Magda.
I won't say
I was
anything.
it was
And
a
then-
Nissa
and
and a
then-
Magda, and he's
that-
like, you gotta choose it. And I'm like, okay, Nissa and Magda, and he's like, man.
It was the right call.
Oh, that rocks, I guess. Well, I did take. Did we draw that game? Yeah, because we locked out the Nissa player.
Yeah, because I couldn't play anything.
Well, yeah, Rog could counter him. That was your Tybalt, and I was like, yeah, I can also stop you. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, but no, I'm playing Rocco, and it's just it's a blast. It's so fun because people don't expect it. And I went to the last tournament with it, and that's where I technically qualified for top 16. But they cut the top 10, and every time I sat down with someone, they were like, "Wait, what are you playing?" And I'm like, "Hey, Rocco."
It's a good
and
thing.
and it is a little bit though. Some pieces do hate me out. Those opposition agents, those Haven Mind Sensors, those Drainists, yeah, those stop me. But you know what I get to do? I get to cook. I get to hang out in mid-range where I love to hang out.
Sure.
And it's the best place because I can look at a board state and be like, okay, if I get Rocco out here, I'm not going for a win line, but I can set up a win in 2 turns.
Sure.
Yeah, am I going to get those 2 turns? You never know. I'm 100% say it. You never know if you're going to get those turns. That's the favorite thing about CDH. Because those 2 turns can also be an hour later. Like, that is the craziest aspect to it is CEDH is so fast. It really is. We're only out on turn 2, but it's an hour and a half game.
Right.
We play more spells in our 2 turns than you do in your 15 turn game.
Yeah.
That takes 3 hours.
I mean, it goes back to the old adage that a lot of casual players think that we are just a turbo format, and we're not. We're absolutely not.
No,
more
we
interaction.
the game may still be over on turn 4, but that doesn't mean we're not playing a full game.
But
We
we're
absolutely
wrong.
are.
It is. There's people that feed into the the mindset of what CDH is. Of you just do this, and that. 100%. I love stopping those people because Chris was also on the screen. Haven Interrupter. It is 1 colorless, 2 white.
Yep.
Flash enters the battlefield, and target spell is plotted. The amount of people that I have hit, the Thassa's or they're demonic, and they're literally going for it, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah, here you go.
yeah, okay.
Why have some legs?
Yeah.
Add some wings.
And and that's the that's probably the hardest part is he just nails on the hands. We don't have a lot to stand on usually.
Yes.
But I'm trying out some secret tech. So I'll give you guys a little I'm doing Gandalf the White. He gives all my legendary splash.
Sure.
And he doubles my ETBs. And
Flash is
Leaves.
so good right now.
Flash
the,
is
the
fantastic.
only hard part, it's 5 mana. I gotta get 8 mana
fair.
to get it
So
out.
is Teferi, but it's not triple pips of blue.
Right.
Like,
What Farius Tireless Pilgrim, is that the one that's Flash?
It's the one with triple blue. It's
Yeah.
miserable. Yeah.
And then you have Valley Floodcaller now.
Valley Floodcaller is seen play everywhere on our statistics. I'm pretty sure it was definitely more than 40% probably in this last tournament.
If I don't get me wrong, you guys correct me here. The Rock Side deck won, correct? That one.
Yes.
That deck is seen as this turbo deck, and this attests what mid range is. Is literally the guy was like, "Oh, I have a 21 Bowmaster army.
Right.
I'm just gonna beat you with that."
Yeah, that was how he won.
that isn't turbo. That's literally
The
going mid range.
open was Roxai.
Yeah.
The invitational was Blue Farm.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
sorry.
So I'm
A
again,
little bit of a confusion
and that's where
there,
I've
but
messed
still.
up a couple because everyone keeps talking about it, but there was the big open, which was like 256. It was pretty.
Yes.
It was pretty massive.
Yep.
Which I would love to talk about that. But again, sorry. Go back to my favorite deck. Which
You're totally fine.
Is Rocco. But it's a hard thing. Is Atraxa. It's still like just lingering. It's still here. Like, hey, you want to play Atraxa?
What does Atraxa do? Why is that deck so calling out to you?
It's the colors. It really is. Atraxa is amazing, which he'll toss on the screen. Atraxa is it does so much, but it's the fact that it's 7 mana. Yeah, I can do that. I have ways to get that out super fast and all my rocks and everything, but cool, I got an Atraxa and I don't have anything to feed off it.
Okay.
Well, now I just gave the Dockside player next to me 6 extra mana because I just dropped 6 rocks.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And
The free spells. You don't really get the free spells. Same with kind of like Kenrith and
Oh,
anything
yes.
that's kind of like 5 and above.
Those like higher mana cost
where you're
commanders.
not
Yeah.
really playing a lot of those free spells because the likelihood of you getting it and then defending it isn't really there. So it does kind of free you up to have more mana in general. I mean, with a lot of different things like Magda, if I get mana, I'm doing good. Sometimes you just Kinnan, for example, you just get mana and play Kinnan, and that's the entire game plan.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it frees you up from some of those free counter spells, especially since, I mean, Strict Serenade is one that's been printed recently where it counters target creature, but it's not heavily played.
No.
well, that right there is
Stern
the answer.
Scolding.
No, that's the answer right there. Playing Atraxa and seeing it countered. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Dropping 7 mana and watching it get countered, or not just countered, copied. Because we're in a weird
Yeah.
copy meta.
That
We absolutely are.
Which
really
I'll
good
give
point.
a shout out to Cam for playing with power. He made this comment like, we wouldn't, or yeah, playing to win. Play to win, not playing with power. Cam from playing to win. He talked about we wouldn't run these copies otherwise.
It's 100% true.
Unless it was these dock sides. Like that's the only real reason Blue runs these copies is to take the dock side. It isn't to Oh, take the Bowmaster. Yeah, that's a good target. There's good targets.
Sure.
I'm not gonna argue. We could play in a game and there could be 16 different targets to hit. 9 out of 10 times, I'm probably gonna hit the dock side.
Probably.
Because I can hit the dock side. I can play 3 more spells on top of that instead of this one.
Gotcha.
And that's where we're in this mid range because these turbo decks are like, go, 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 go. And then these control decks have now said, no, stop it. Stop. And it comes out with your Mystics, your Mystics, your Espers, your Null Rods, your stacks effects.
Sure.
And that's where this weird Rocco comes in. And it's like, as like Chris has pointed out, we've been cooking. And that's my thing, is I can slide these combos in and win through an Abzir Mirror line. I can win through a Kiki Jiki line, which I'm sorry, you guys. Everyone that forgets Kiki Jiki lines, I'm like, homie, that's like one of the oldest lines.
Kiki Jiki, man.
Refer
does
back
work.
to Rich's episode. I did a whole thing on it. Took way too much time. Basically the same
Basic
exact
concept.
same thing else.
And that's the thing is, Rocco has a lot of those blood pot pieces. I'm gonna say that, but I don't run the stacks. Like, how many people have sat down and say, "Oh, you're gonna drop an Archon out," and it's like, no, I'm gonna.
So your blood pod without black and stacks.
Yeah, I'm not running the stacks. I'm
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm running these kind of weird creatures that people like, which speak of the devil, White Bloom Adventure. How many times I've tutored that out and everyone just looks at me like, what are you? And I'm like, get a basic, cool. Don't attack me, cool. Untap my Bloom Thunder tats for Naya now. Every upkeep, on your upkeep, his upkeep, his
Try
upkeep.
to deal 2 damage, go to creature,
Go through
a lot
it.
of different
Yeah,
options.
it's fantastic.
Flicker it if you can with even Feldar. You know what I mean? Feels
Flicker,
pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so nice. There's different ways, and that's been the funnest thing about this mid-range meta.
It's different when we're talking about turbo. It was kind of different when we were talking about stacks and control. But what do you think the state of mid-range is in the meta right now?
Well, spoiler right now, it's not a great. I'm gonna say it right now. This is gonna be a little bit of a hot take.
Sure.
Bowmaster has worked the format in such a way that mid-range is a thing. It really is. It's gonna be a thing because you have your red sticks, you have your stack pieces. But Bowmaster has changed it because now I can't get to that mid-range through my dorks. I have to find that mid-range through other points. Or I can't play my Esper as often because you could drop a Mystic or a Bowmaster. And the worst part about the Bowmaster is that the person drawing the cards is not being punished.
Okay.
And that is what's ruining mid-range.
Gotcha.
I hate to say it. If the Bowmaster said, if the player draws another card, deals 1 damage, then the Macedon.
Ooh.
I hate to say the fact that it says any target is the issue.
Fair enough.
I would maybe say on the ETB, any target. That could be fair. That could be fair on the any ETB, any target. But on the triggered ability, if it was hitting off of you drawing extra cards, then cool. You take the damage, not my board state, because this board state has me advance a little bit, but it's also keeping up with you. And I hate to say it, this mid-range we're in, and this also can lead into a point you talked about earlier, is this an archetype for newer players? And I'm going to say no. This is not somewhere you can jump in, and I'm going to go jump in with Rich here. You need to know the format before you jump here, because if you say your deck's mid-range, I'm expecting you to stop the turbo player and be able to compete with the control player for a brief set and find your window.
Interesting.
But also, I understand 100%, you can't find your window always. That is a fair, like 100%. You can never always get your windows. And you always can get willed into 7 lands or willed into no lands.
It happens.
Turn 1, the rock side wills you, and you had a great 5 because you mulled down to 5. Well, your next 7 is 1 land and nothing same color.
Yep.
That happens. But also, if you're a mid-range deck, you can look at that and say, shit. Well, my next 2 turns are going to suck. Hopefully I got something. And usually you can pivot where, Chris has said, the turning point here is where, how do I answer? Where can I find the mid-range window to slide back in? And that's why I will not agree with, hate to say it controversially, top decks ban of Ristic Study right now, where they're talking about that. It takes back decks that have been locked out or stopped back into the game.
Catch-up mechanics.
Absolutely.
One reason why I don't think Dockside is necessarily something that you want to ban, because in 4th place, cool. Turn 2 Dockside, I'm back in this game, boys.
Yeah, you can step back in.
Sure.
And you guys have seen it before.
Yeah,
I have
100%.
been that Dockside player.
Of course.
In that mid-range window, but at the same time, it isn't healthy right now. There's too much of player B getting Mystic, Ristic out, having their draw engines going. Player D has their Bowmaster, but they're pinging players B and C, while player A draws their winning hand. And I've seen too many hands where it could go into a mid-range game where we could actually find answers and maybe get to a draw. Like sometimes I can't win. I played enough tournaments to know I can't win here, and I'm getting better at this whole pivot shift. Yeah. And people can attest this probably isn't a good mindset, but play for the draw. Because if I draw here, then I can try to get to a win later in the next game.
Okay, gotcha.
But that mid-range, you have to know that. Sure. That is the biggest thing, is when you know to pivot. Because if you don't know when you need to pivot back against the turbo deck, you can give them the window and they can win.
Yep.
Okay. I think that's the hardest part about new players. You jump in. Okay, yeah, the turbo player got stopped for twice. Okay, cool, they're done. Okay, the control players, they got like 8 cards in hand. Okay, well, okay, that turbo player is going to sit for 2 turns, draw a full new grip, and is going to be able to present 3 more wins.
Yep.
On end step.
Yep.
So
Makes sense.
What are you going to do in response?
Can't tap out all the time.
Yeah, no, you
people
absolutely
want
can.
to. Cool, play my big thing, make control stop me, and then control doesn't have their interaction. I don't have my free spells,
right.
and I've given the game away. So
that's one of my tapped out. Sorry, not to cut you off, Chris.
No, you're fine. I'm with you.
We've talked here before about that. Is when you tap out, and I'm playing, and I hope I can talk about this more combos. I love them.
We'll talk to you about
it is all about like this piece, and this piece. And don't get me wrong, I love like 8-9 piece combo cards.
Oh yeah, of course.
But also AP plus B. I played Tivit. I got the time sleeve on. I get those.
Yep.
But
next game, send it.
Perfect.
But I love those multiple pieces, and that's where people are like, oh, combos are dumb. Interact. You can literally shove
ways to stop every combo.
A crowbar in there. Like Chris can attest with. He hates when I do this when we're playing with newer players, and he starts doing a magnum like, hit it here, hit it, get it, and he's like, and I'm like, look at that.
Now I politic why Mattie's going to win next turn if you do this. And this is what I'm going to go get if you let me get my 5 treasures. Do I have an artifact dwarf? Nope, I'm not winning the game. I'm stopping Mattie so you guys can play and enjoy the game because he's a jerk.
No, and I'll be like, no, I'm not winning this. I'm not winning.
What are you talking about?
He has dreads, I'm clean cut. Listen to me. Okay? It's that simple. I got the mustache. He doesn't.
Wow, that was rude. But I think... Oh, no.
Yeah,
I gotta.
No, it looks beautiful.
okay.
But no, I would say if you've been playing Magic and you've done 60 card formats, and it's like Bruce said, the control aspect. If you understand that, yeah, you could play mid range. But if you don't understand the meta and the whole, you're gonna feel very left out and feel bads of, oh man, I could have enduranced him here, or okay, so on that tap, I could have killed that dwarf, or okay, in the middle of that Krakashima 3 spells, if I would toss this interaction in here, you only got 2 treasures, and you don't know these because you haven't played it enough times, and that's why I won't recommend it to anybody.
Decision fatigue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Decision fatigue. I would say definitely in mid-range in general, there's a lot of decisions that you have to make.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the thing is there was a brief period of time where I would listen to other podcasts and other people talk about that they honestly believed that Blue Farm was actually a good deck to give people. And so Blue Farm, again, for those that don't know, we've talked about this before on the podcast. It's Timna and Crom. It's the best deck in our format, and it is a mid-range deck. It will always be considered a mid-range deck. People slant turbo a little bit, but it's always considered mid-range. Yep. And there were a lot of people talking about that it being a good deck for beginners, because it basically just draws cards until it finds a window. And I think I completely agree with Mattie. I think the decision, and Chris, I think the decision fatigue with a deck like that, there's so many points of pivot. There's so many points of, do I go here? There's so many points of, have I drawn enough cards? Do I stop this player? Do I interact here? Do I kill this now? And you have to like play police and look for a turbo window and there's so much going on that you miss so much. And so, I think I completely agree. I think mid-range is definitely an archetype that is difficult to play. It absolutely is.
You were talking before the podcast in general about like certain spells are finite. They're premium, I think is what the word that you used. Yeah. They're premium. With Blue Farm and as many cards that you draw in a mid-range kind of deck in general, what do I pitch? I have 12 cards. I have 2 removal spells. I'll get rid of one of those removal spells. Understanding the other person in general, how many removal spells do you really need? I only have 4 in the deck, and I just pitched 1. Was that really necessary? Or maybe you don't need it. Maybe they don't win. Understanding the other person's deck is so key. And when you're drawing that many cards, other people expect you to go through and do what you have to do. So
I want to test right there, drawing cards. You remember the game where I had a Mystic, a Ristic, and Italian in play?
Yeah.
And you're like, Matt, you got any answers? And I'm like,
"You need to answer this. Come on, man.
30
Draw
cards
20
in hand.
cards."
And I handed you the stack, and you're like, he has no answers. So that happens. Like that is as a new player, if you were, that's what I'm talking about, is the card drawing. He hit on the head. People expect you because you drew those cards. They expect you because you're playing Blue Farm. Doesn't matter if you say, all right, guys, my name is Jimmy. I'm first time playing CEDH. I proxied this. They said it was cool on the Discord.
everyone attack Blue Farm because you're wrong if you're not. So everyone's attacking you. You're brand new to the format. You're playing Blue Farm.
Right.
If they're not attacking you, they're probably
and you're
attacking wrong side or they're wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
And as a new player, you're like, why are you guys attacking me? I haven't put anything out. I haven't put anything on the board. And you're like, well, that's not the way it works in our format.
We're not a politic yet. You know what I mean? So I think it's maybe not Blue Farm, but there's some other mid-range
There's some other mid-range
for
options.
sure.
I hate to say it, Tempest Crumb. You could do that.
Yeah, Tempest Crumb. It's
a lot of engines.
It's more slanted turbo, but it grinds better in the mid range.
Any of the
That's what I'm
Malcolm
saying.
decks.
You could more grind through that one and get through it.
Yes.
Any of the Malcolm decks.
Oh yeah,
Malcolm decks are
Love
great.
that.
Oh,
Love
dude,
that. It's creature-based combo.
I love Bad Tivit. I think what they're calling it, Bad Tivit, where it's Malcolm.
Bad Farm.
Bad Farm.
Bad Farm,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry. That is.
Tandem
like,
Malcolm, for those that don't know.
So we had a buddy on that deck. Speaking, sorry, I want to cut us off.
No, please.
I'm actually thinking I have an Esper build. It's Marnius Calgar, and
Okay.
I love it. It's very controlly. It's very much in Bruce's Tivit, very house, but it is this mid-rangey. I'm gonna draw 30 cards. Am I gonna answer what you're doing? No. You do what you want.
You're gonna get blood
Am I gonna win when you attempt? Oh yes. Yes, I'm gonna win on your attempt.
Gotcha.
And I'm playing with it, and you guys have heard the rumors. I'm trying to rebuild Breakfast Hulk, and it's working. It's a work in progress. It is.
Cool.
If I ever send you pictures on, you can put on your Twitter. But my desk has like
Just wait for the right card to get printed.
the right card, and it's the meta right now.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to find these windows, which I love. We talk about the turning points of when you can pivot to win.
Yeah.
And I think mid-range is not a new player's pivot place to get into. Like you jump in and you pivot at the wrong time, you just gave the game to Magda. You just gave the game to Crocs Extreme. You just gave the game to Ihata that had no reason winning.
Yeah.
But because you wanted to drop all your artifacts out because you're gonna go for
Kill the Dread Magistrate. Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
With great power comes great responsibility, and if you're not ready for it, unfortunately, you are going to make the wrong call.
100%.
and you're gonna get talked. as shitty as it is, you're gonna get shit talked on, and it's gonna be, if you're at a tournament, you're gonna hear it, and you might not hear it. I hope say not, but you cost someone a game because you made a bad misplay like that.
People do get upset. People still do have their salty moments.
People do get upset, but you also lose so much favor in that where we're at mid-range.
Sure.
To make a deal.
Sure.
Because I'm sorry, if I can stop the Magda player, but also lock down Rockside, if you make me a deal, say not to win, but I took out a sax piece that stopped the other player from losing or winning, why would you make that deal?
Yeah.
Like it could literally cost you the game to push you into that top 16, to get to the finals, to get to the win. And that's where I won't recommend this format. I hate to say everyone else, I can recommend their types and what they enjoy. I cannot recommend this if you have not played enough, because you're going to pivot at the wrong time and it's going to make you become hated and you're not going to want to play.
No, that's perfectly fair. I think that's a perfectly fair reason to do it. And obviously, like we've said on the podcast before, play whatever you want.
Oh, if you think you can do it, 100%.
Yeah, but
It comes down to your play style.
But Mattie absolutely makes good points, and Chris as well. I think there makes a lot of good points as to kind of the pros and cons of it, and sometimes the cons of it are pretty rough.
And the pros are you can win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can pivot like no one's business, and it might just take you a little bit of time. So if you're getting into it and you're expecting I'm just going to win all the time, it's going to take a couple losses.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what deck you play, what archetype. Get in, lose a bunch, understand people's decks, and then start winning.
We have our kind of typical one that we do for every single guest because it's just something that we like to ask. But what is your, and this does not have to be about Commander. It could be about other things, but what is kind of your hot take on Magic?
It is the fact that we can't separate these formats. I'm gonna say it right now. You can't have EDH and CDH. It is EDH with your subgenre.
Okay.
I hate to say it. It is what it is.
I'm in agreement.
Yeah,
Why?
I agree.
Why?
Yeah, give me a couple points.
The reason why is because you're now gonna get so diluted, and it happened to Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh did this already, and it was horrid. Like even the company was like, "No, stop it, get out of here." But the fact is, we decide we're going to next Fishbowl 5. We're going out there, us three and maybe someone else, and then we go hit up a couple of local stores because we got plane tickets 2 days early, and we're gonna have a couple of stores practice. And we get to a local store, they're like, "Yeah, this is our list. None of our decks can play." What do you mean? We're going to this event. Oh, we don't support their events, so we don't run their decks. That is gonna be the crappiest feeling. Or a new player. Like, we have new players all the time join in. What if the only way they know about it is because they saw a tweet or they saw a video or a short about playing with power or one of them, and they go follow it, and then they hear about playing power. I'm not putting their name in there, but they don't support the band list, the new one.
For example, yeah.
But they follow the chain and they see this new one, so they build this Leovold deck. They're so proud to bring it, and they show up to our Friday night. We're like, that's
sorry,
banned.
We're not playing Leovold.
Yeah, and I hate to say I did that this Friday. We had a player plays a mono green deck, and I said, "Are you playing Fastbond?" And they said no, and I was like, "Hey, well, if you do, I will."
Right, it's still banned.
It's banned. We're not playing this game. Like,
yeah.
And that, I'm gonna say that right now. People that have another hot take a little bit.
No, that's fine.
The fast band cannot come in at the moment. I hate to say it. There's things that will ruin. You think Flash was bad? Zorn Orb with fast bond. And anything that pulls them out of your graveyard.
That's true. That's fair.
I'm sorry, you go 80 mana turn 0, your turn 1, and like, oh yeah, cool. That's cool. I want to play another game. Let's shuffle up. We're in the Nadu thing again.
Zorn is 0, right?
Yeah.
So you could just go crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I guess I didn't even think about that.
Turn 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Turn 1 with the right hand.
Yeah, you have that right hand, and that's like any CDH game.
Oh yeah, of course.
But back to the whole the two lists. There has to be EDH, and then you have these little formats underneath it. But CDH is, I hate to say it, is the tumor to EDH, and will always be there. You have to leave it. If you pull it, you're gonna kill it. You're not gonna kill it. EDH is gonna stay what it is.
Of course.
It's such a social format. But if CDH decides to separate what it is, it's gonna turn into Conquest or Oathbreaker, where occasionally you might hear somebody talk about it. And that's what scares me, is because we have such a huge wave right now we're on.
Yeah.
Don't ruin it, you guys.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we don't like Ristic. We don't like how it warps the format. But if you ban it, then you just open every turbo deck up.
Yep.
It is literally one of the few things that you can
same thing.
hold turbo down with a little bit. Not like oppressive. This isn't Hullbreaker where it's, oh, you want to draw cards? I make treasure.
yeah, it's not Hullbreaker. Yeah.
And then the other thing to it is, how would it feel to, you don't do the internet, you don't do your research, you're all about you reading your own cards, you're figuring out you want to build your own deck, and you go and you've been watching EDH, yeah, oh man, I want to play CDH, that looks super cool. So you build this deck and it's so ready to go, and we've shifted to this whole new TDH tournament meta, where we have this new ban list from our supporters and everything.
Yeah.
And then you go and this person sits down and none of the cards they're playing are banned. Like, they're not playing Ristic or anything like that. Maybe they're playing a Selesnya deck. But because our meta has shifted so much, they're gonna be like, what am I? This isn't what I. What? Wait, what? Like, they're not. It's not gonna flow into it the way CDH is now, because we can all jump in our car and go drive, like I said, to Fishbowl 5, and go play with people from San Diego that we've never met, and jam a CDH game, and everyone's gonna have a blast.
Yeah.
Like, shout out to my I hope it's cool. His name's Alex. Yeah. Stockwell. I'm sorry for pronouncing that name wrong, Alex, but I ran into you in Fishbowl. You were my first game, and we just hit it off. And then I ran into you in Denver, or I ran into you in Utah, and then in Denver, and you had a chance to go to the Invitational. I think you were place 66, so he was right there, and like, he was in the popular vote and everything. And you were just, we can jam a game. Like that's the whole point. Like, but if there's this weird ban list that only the East Coast people have, but the West Coast don't, and you can't do that, and it's gonna ruin it. And that's my hot take. I'm gonna say it right now. You have to leave EDH as the format, but you can't
Separate.
You can't separate.
Yeah.
And I'll quote Dylan from Play to Win. CEDH is the Wild West. Everything is allowed. You can play the saltiest cards you can play your Jink attacks, and if you can get it out turn 1, go for it, Doc. It's
Land destruction.
Let's do it. Land destruction. Like
Doesn't feel good, but it's there.
Yockle hops and obliterate.
Oh no, the new Cruel Claw. You can literally 98 lands, World Fire, and the Weasel. I'll let you get it out.
Sure.
It happened to me. I played in a spell table game, and the guy, and it was a high power game, and we were expecting it, but it was Blast.
Yeah.
And I'm expecting it. But if you make this curated ban list to CDH, it loses CDH, because the whole point of CDH is taking the competitive format, because it's the same thing if Arena has done with Best of One. Arena Best of One wasn't a thing in Magic. That never was.
Yeah, no sideboard. That's huge in the 60 card.
Yeah, no sideboards, but it's so popular. Look at those streamers that have people watching them all day playing this game.
Oh yeah.
And you have the Arena Open where they're making thousands of hundreds of dollars, hundreds of thousands. But that's what CDH is. It is a format to the Best of One of Standard, I feel like. It is.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
You have Standard of Magic, which is usually Best of 3 and all that. But Arenas come into Standard, it's Best of One, and you can jam games. I could jam 12 games in an hour and a half. There's no way I could do that in a Best of 3.
Right.
And that definitely helps with EDH. CEDH opposed to EDH, you get a lot more games in.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not playing a 3-hour game.
And the fact that all of us can attest to that, we've all been in those games, and
they're fun.
They can be if you're in the game with the right people.
Yeah.
But they're long.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, Mattie, thank you so much for coming down here and talking with us about mid-range. We really appreciate having you on. Definitely gonna, again, just like with Rich, we're absolutely gonna have Mattie back on, talking about combos. There's some other episode ideas that we have settling around with Mattie. So that's gonna do it for this week's episode, everybody. Again,
Wait, you haven't given the announcement?
What's the announcement?
what's the announcement?
I'm your third host now.
Oh shit! Sorry, Mattie's on permanently, you guys. You'll see him next week.
He's the new editor.
Yeah, I was gonna say he loves that.
But no, you guys, I just want to say it's been awesome, and I just want to make sure everyone knows Magic is an open community. We have those crappy people. We always have them. Can't say no to that. But us here, if you ever come to Queen's Realm, we're always more than welcome to have you. We want to bring in everyone. We want to play Commander. We want to play EDH. We want to play CDH. But biggest thing is be welcoming. Don't put a wall up. Just, and I know this sounds so anti-social. Like, welcome us and we'll welcome you. If you put a wall up, then we think that you don't want to hang out with us. We don't. Yeah. We want to play a game. Yeah, we're in a tournament's a different set. I'm just gonna say it. Tournament's a different thing. I'm here to win, but
Tournament perhaps way different.
When we're here to play a game and play CDH, we're gonna have laughs. We're gonna have good times, and we're all gonna turn the point to the right area.
Cool. I like it. How are you feeling, Chris?
I tried.
Oh, you said turning point more than anyone else, so
You absolutely did.
Florida, Mattie, you said it more than everybody. You win the golden pony. Okay.
Hell, maybe he is the third host. Apparently, we can't do it very well.
Social media, I guess.
He'll be solo next week. That's fine.
So here we are looking at Conquest is top 16.
Wow, crazy.
Wow, there's only 3 decks.
We definitely could. It wouldn't be difficult. You got a green screen and that's all you need is a green screen and a camera. I'll edit it.
Boom, done.
Fuck it.
What is it? The breaking news? I just come in like, you guys, breaking news. Doc said it's made treasures today. All right, here we go. Next breaking news. Ristic Study has drawn cards with Mystic slightly behind.
How many cards did he draw?
We're looking at 24, and he still cannot win the game. I think it is
25.
bad deck building, as they're saying.
Too many lands. Take out the lands.
Oh, you need less. You need less of those. Bad cards.
But no, you guys, thank you for bringing me on. It was a great time, and I'll be happy to come back and talk about other things with you guys.
Absolutely. We love it. Alrighty, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Like, comment, subscribe about any future episode ideas you guys have, and we'll look into them. Thank you guys so much. Have a good one.
tryna live it and stunt. Get anything that I want, whenever I want. It's okay to be broke, it's not okay to be a bum. Gotta move up, I never front, I keep it 100, hun, do it for fun.